Have you ever reached the end of an exhausting day, looked around at your life, and wondered, is this it? You're in your 30s, maybe 40s. You've worked hard, built a career, maybe started a family. On paper, everything looks like it's falling into place, but deep down you're stretched thin, pulled in a dozen directions at once. The constant pressure to perform at work, to be present for your loved ones, to keep up with social obligations, and somehow still find time for yourself. It can feel like you're running on a treadmill that never stops. You're not alone in feeling this way. In fact, this sense of being perpetually overwhelmed is one of the most common and unspoken realities of adult life after 30. But what if I told you that balance isn't just a myth, that it's not something reserved for influencers on social media or people who seem to have it all figured out? What if I said there are specific, actionable secrets, quiet principles that have been practiced for generations that can help you reclaim your energy, your time, and your joy? This isn't about quick fixes or superficial life hacks. This is about building a life that feels whole, meaningful, and truly yours. A life where you don't have to choose between success and sanity, between ambition and peace. In this video, we're going to explore 10 powerful secrets to finding that balance. These aren't random tips. They're grounded in wisdom, psychology, and the lived experiences of people who have walked this path before us. We'll uncover how small shifts in perspective and daily habits can lead to profound changes in how you experience your days, your relationships, and yourself. So if you're ready to step off that treadmill and start designing a life that doesn't just look good on the outside but feels deeply right on the inside, you're in the right place. Let's begin this journey together. And that brings us to our first secret, one that might just be the most important foundation for everything else we'll discuss. To find balance, you must first redefine your definition of success. For decades, maybe even since you were in school, you've been handed a script. It tells you that success is a straight line: get good grades, land a prestigious job, climb the corporate ladder, buy a bigger house, earn a higher salary. This script is so deeply embedded in our culture that we often follow it without ever stopping to ask ourselves a simple but profound question: is this my dream, or am I just living someone else's? This external definition of success is a major source of that overwhelming feeling we talked about. You're constantly running a race you didn't choose, toward a finish line you can't even see, and you're left feeling like you're never quite enough. True balance, the kind that quiets the noise and brings a sense of peace, begins when you have the courage to tear up that old script and write a new one with your own values as the ink. Consider the story of Michael, a high-powered attorney. By every external measure, he had made it. He had the corner office, the luxury car, the impressive title. But he was also chronically exhausted, constantly stressed, and he was missing his children growing up. The cost of his success was his health and his connection to his family. He made a brave choice. He stepped away from the firm and started a small practice with a reduced caseload, focusing on areas of law he was truly passionate about. His income decreased, but his quality of life soared. He redefined success not as a title on a door, but as the ability to coach his son's soccer team and have dinner with his family every night. His new success metric was presence, not prestige. Or take Maria, a marketing executive who was always chasing the next big promotion. She realized her relentless pursuit was fueled by a need for validation rather than genuine fulfillment. She began to consciously shift her focus. Instead of measuring her week by closed deals, she started measuring it by moments of joy. A long hike on a Sunday, learning to bake sourdough bread, having a deep, uninterrupted conversation with a friend. She didn't abandon her career ambitions. She simply put them in their proper place as one part of a much richer, more diverse portfolio of a life well lived. For her, success became synonymous with vitality and connection. Redefining success is a deeply personal act. It's about auditing your life and asking what truly matters to you. Does success mean financial freedom, or does it mean having the flexibility to volunteer? Is it about professional recognition, or is it about the pride of mastering a new skill like playing the piano or building furniture? For some, the ultimate success might be a quiet morning with a book and a cup of coffee, completely uninterrupted. There is no right or wrong answer, only your answer. This isn't about rejecting ambition, it's about aligning your ambition with your authentic self so that your drive comes from a place of purpose, not pressure. When you start living by your own definition, the treadmill doesn't just slow down, you discover you have the power to step off it entirely and start walking a path that you designed yourself. So how do you actually begin this process of redefining success for yourself? It starts with looking inward with a kind of personal audit of your values. Think of it as decluttering your soul. You need to clear out the expectations that were never yours to make space for the dreams that truly are. A powerful way to do this is through a simple but profound values assessment. Find a quiet moment, grab a notebook, and ask yourself one of the most important questions you'll ever consider. If everything else was stripped away, your job title, your possessions, your social status, what core principles would absolutely have to remain for you to feel like yourself? Is it integrity, creativity, freedom, family, connection to nature? Make a list of everything that feels essential, then whittle it down to your top 3 to 5 non-negotiable values. These are your new compass points. Every major decision, from career moves to how you spend your weekends, can now be filtered through a simple question. Does this choice move me closer to honoring these values or further away? With your core values identified, the next step is to craft a personal mission statement. This isn't some corporate buzzword. It's a 1 or 2 sentence declaration that acts as your personal constitution. It summarizes who you are at your best and what you aim to contribute to the world. For example, someone whose values are growth, service, and authenticity might write, "My mission is to continuously learn and grow, to use my skills to help others unlock their potential, and to live with courage and honesty in all my relationships." This statement becomes a touchstone. On those hectic mornings when you're feeling pulled in a million directions, you can come back to it and ask, are my actions today in alignment with my mission? It cuts through the noise and provides incredible clarity. Of course, knowing your values and having a mission statement is one thing. Living them requires an often uncomfortable skill, the art of saying no. This is where the rubber meets the road. Every time you say yes to something that doesn't align with your redefined goals, you are silently saying no to the life you truly want to build. It's a zero-sum game. Let's take Ben, a project manager who had identified family time and mental well-being as top values. He was consistently asked to lead last-minute weekend work sessions because he was so capable. The old Ben, the one chasing external validation, would have always said yes, earning praise from his boss at the expense of his own peace and time with his kids. The new Ben, guided by his values, learned to politely but firmly decline. He might say, "I understand this project is urgent, but I have prior commitments on Saturday that I cannot break. I've outlined the key steps here and am happy to hand this off to a colleague or tackle it first thing Monday morning." Initially, he feared professional backlash, but something surprising happened. By setting clear boundaries rooted in his values, he wasn't seen as less dedicated. He was respected as a professional who knew his limits and priorities. He traded the fleeting high of being the office hero for the sustained fulfillment of being present for his son's piano recital. This practice of intentional refusal extends beyond work. It means saying no to a social event when you need a quiet night to recharge. It means declining a volunteer opportunity that, while noble, would stretch you too thin and pull you away from your core mission. Each no is not a rejection of others, but a profound affirmation of your own path. It is you voting for the life you have consciously chosen over the one you were passively handed. It's in these daily choices, these small acts of courageous alignment, that your new definition of success stops being a concept in a journal and starts becoming the reality you live and breathe. Now, if redefining success gives you the map for your journey, then making your health non-negotiable provides the fuel for the vehicle. You simply cannot enjoy the destination if you break down along the way. We often treat our health as a luxury, the first thing we sacrifice when our schedule gets crowded. We skip the gym to finish a report, we grab fast food between meetings, and we tell ourselves we'll sleep when we're dead. But after 30, that philosophy stops working. Our bodies, which once seemed to bounce back from anything, start sending invoices for every withdrawal we make from our health savings account, and those bills compound with interest. The data on this is stark. Studies show that metabolic rates can begin to decline in our 30s, and muscle mass starts a gradual decrease if we don't actively preserve it. But this isn't a doom and gloom scenario, it's a powerful call to action. It means that the small, consistent investments you make in your physical and mental well-being yield the highest returns for your overall quality of life. Think of your health not as another item on your to-do list, but as the foundation that supports everything on that list: your career, your relationships, your passions. A shaky foundation means everything built on top of it is unstable. Let's break this down into practical, integrated components. First, movement. The goal isn't to train for a marathon unless that genuinely brings you joy. The goal is to find a form of regular exercise that fits your life, not one that disrupts it. This is about consistency over intensity. For a busy parent, that might mean a 20-minute bodyweight routine in the living room after the kids are asleep. For someone with a long commute, it could be a brisk walk during your lunch break or even a walking meeting. The key is to reframe exercise from a chore you have to schedule to a natural part of your day that you look forward to because of how it makes you feel more energized, focused, and resilient. Next, mindful eating. This isn't about restrictive dieting, it's about conscious fueling. After 30, our nutritional needs shift. We can't process junk food and sugar the way we used to without consequences. Mindful eating simply means paying attention. It's planning your meals for the week so a stressful Tuesday doesn't lead to a pizza delivery. It's keeping healthy snacks like nuts or fruit at your desk to avoid the mid-afternoon vending machine crash. It's understanding that what you eat directly impacts your mood, your energy levels, and your long-term health. You don't have to be perfect, but making slightly better choices most of the time creates a massive cumulative effect. Then there's the element we most often ignore until it's a crisis: preventive health care. So many serious health issues are highly treatable when caught early. Scheduling your annual physical, your dental cleaning, your vision checkup, these are not appointments to cancel when work gets busy. They are the most important meetings you'll have all year because they are about protecting your ability to do everything else. It's the maintenance required to keep your most valuable asset operational. Finally, and this is perhaps the most overlooked part of the health equation, is sleep. In our hustle culture, sleep is often worn as a badge of honor. The less you get, the harder you're working. Nothing could be further from the truth. Consistent, quality sleep is the ultimate performance enhancer. It sharpens your mind, regulates your emotions, strengthens your immune system, and even helps manage your weight. Protecting your sleep schedule is one of the most selfishly productive things you can do. It's not lazy, it's strategic. When you are well rested, you work more efficiently, think more creatively, and interact with others more patiently. You get more done in less time and at a higher quality, making the sacrifice of late-night work utterly counterproductive. Prioritizing 7 to 8 hours of sleep is the ultimate hack for a balanced, high-performing life. But once you've established that health is the non-negotiable foundation, the next logical challenge becomes: how on earth do you actually protect that time? How do you carve out space for the gym, for meal prep, for that extra hour of sleep, when your calendar is already a mosaic of deadlines and obligations. This leads us directly to our third secret, a powerful strategy that transforms your intentions into an actionable plan. Master the art of time blocking. Time blocking is far more than a simple to-do list. A to-do list tells you what needs to be done, but it's silent on when. It leaves you vulnerable to the tyranny of the urgent, constantly reacting to emails, messages, and other interruptions that feel pressing but are rarely important. Time blocking, on the other hand, is a proactive declaration. It's the practice of scheduling your priorities before the world's priorities schedule you. You take your calendar and you assign specific tasks to specific blocks of time, treating these appointments with yourself with the same respect you'd treat a meeting with your CEO. This method does something profound. It moves you from a state of constant reaction into a state of purposeful action, which is the very essence of control and balance. Creating your weekly template is the first practical step. Set aside 30 minutes on a Sunday evening to look at the week ahead. Start by blocking out the immovable pillars, your work hours, your family commitments, and crucially, your health non-negotiables. That means you literally open your calendar and create an event for gym or evening walk. You block out time for lunch so you're not just snacking at your desk. You even schedule uninterrupted work for your most important projects. What you're left with is not empty space, but intentionally designed space. You see your life laid out as a balanced ecosystem, not a frantic free-for-all. The tools you use can make or break this system. For the digitally inclined, calendar apps like Google Calendar or Outlook are perfect because they can send reminders and are accessible everywhere. The simple act of color coding these blocks can provide instant visual clarity: blue for deep work, green for health, yellow for family time. For those who prefer a tactile approach, a paper planner can be equally effective. The physical act of writing down a time block reinforces the commitment in your mind. The tool itself doesn't matter, the consistency in using it does. Of course, life is beautifully, chaotically unpredictable. A child gets sick, a work crisis emerges, a friend needs help. A rigid schedule would shatter under this pressure, but a flexible time blocking system is designed to absorb it. This is where the concept of buffer blocks becomes essential. These are intentionally empty periods scattered throughout your week, perhaps 30 minutes between meetings or a Friday afternoon block left open. When the unexpected inevitably happens, you don't panic and abandon your entire plan. You simply reassign a task to one of these buffer blocks. Your important work still gets done, just later than planned. It's the difference between a brittle schedule that breaks and a resilient one that bends. Consider the transformation of a graphic designer named Lena. She was constantly overwhelmed, working late into the night because her days were hijacked by constant Slack messages and quick questions. She started time blocking, reserving her morning hours from 9 to 12 for her most demanding design work, marking this block as "Do Not Disturb" on her calendar and communication apps. Initially, her colleagues were surprised, but she politely explained her new focus hours and assured them she'd be available for calls in the afternoon. The result was remarkable. She completed her core work in 3 focused hours instead of 8 distracted ones. Her afternoons became free for collaboration and administrative tasks without the gnawing anxiety of her primary work being unfinished. She reclaimed her evenings, her stress levels plummeted, and the quality of her work actually improved because she could finally immerse herself in it without interruption. Time blocking is ultimately about more than productivity. It's about integrity. It's the practice of making a promise to yourself about how you will use your time and then keeping that promise. Every time you honor a time block for self-care or a hobby, you are sending a powerful message to your subconscious: my time is valuable and my priorities matter. This builds self-trust and reduces the internal friction of guilt and second-guessing that so often leads to burnout. It's the practical machinery that allows the philosophies of redefined success and non-negotiable health to actually function in the real world. Yet for all the control that time blocking gives us over our schedule, there is a dimension of our lives that can't be neatly scheduled into colored calendar blocks, yet it profoundly influences our sense of balance, our relationships. We can have the most perfectly organized week, but if our connections are either draining us dry or leaving us lonely, that foundational feeling of being balanced will remain just out of reach. This brings us to our fourth secret for a balanced life: the intentional cultivation of deep, meaningful relationships. After 30, the social landscape often shifts dramatically. The large, sprawling friend groups of our 20s naturally begin to consolidate. We start to realize that having 1,000 acquaintances on social media is not the same as having one friend you can call at 2 in the morning when life falls apart. The frantic energy of trying to be everywhere and know everyone gives way to a deeper yearning for connection that is genuine, supportive, and reciprocal. This isn't about popularity, it's about building a personal board of directors for your life, a small, trusted group of people who see you, cheer for you, and will tell you the hard truth when you need to hear it. These relationships become our emotional anchors, reducing stress and providing a safe harbor from the storms of adult life. Nurturing these bonds, however, requires a shift from passive presence to active investment. It starts with a simple yet profound practice of active listening. In a world filled with distractions, giving someone your full, undivided attention is a rare and powerful gift. Active listening means putting your phone away, making eye contact, and listening not just to formulate your next response, but to truly understand the other person's experience. It's in the subtle art of asking follow-up questions that show you're engaged. How did that make you feel? Or what was that experience like for you? This kind of listening communicates value and respect far more than any grand gesture ever could. It transforms a simple coffee catch-up into a moment of genuine connection that fuels both people for days. Of course, with the busy lives we lead, these moments of connection won't always happen spontaneously. This is where the concept of scheduled check-ins becomes vital. Just as you would block time for a project at work, schedule time for the people who matter most. This might look like a recurring monthly dinner with your closest friends, a weekly video call with a sibling who lives across the country, or a standing 15-minute walk with your partner every evening to simply talk about your days without the interference of screens. These rituals create a reliable rhythm of connection that doesn't rely on chance or convenience. They become the pillars that hold the relationship steady even when life gets chaotic. But cultivating deep connections isn't just about who you let in, it's also about who you gently let go. A crucial and often difficult part of this process is setting boundaries to avoid toxic or draining connections. These are the relationships that leave you feeling exhausted, criticized, or diminished after every interaction. They are the emotional vampires that suck the energy you're trying so hard to protect. Setting a boundary isn't about being harsh or creating conflict. It's about defining what you are and are not willing to accept to protect your own well-being. This might mean limiting your time with a constantly negative relative, gracefully exiting conversations that turn into gossip, or clearly communicating to a friend that you cannot be their sole source of emotional support for every crisis. It is an act of respect for yourself and ultimately for the relationship, as it prevents the buildup of resentment that silently destroys bonds. Consider the story of Chloe and her friend Mark. For years, their friendship was built on a shared history from college, but in the present day, every interaction followed the same pattern. Mark would dominate the conversation with complaints about his job and his life, rarely asking about Chloe's and often dismissing her good news with a negative comment. After realizing how drained she felt after their calls, Chloe chose to set a gentle but firm boundary. The next time Mark launched into a familiar rant, she gently interrupted and said, "Mark, I always want to be here for you, but I find that when our conversations focus only on problems, it leaves me feeling overwhelmed. Could we try to also share something good that happened this week?" The dynamic didn't change overnight, but it created a new possibility for their friendship, one based on mutual support rather than one-sided draining. It was a brave act of nurturing the relationship by first protecting her own peace. In the end, the quality of our relationships is a direct reflection of the quality of our lives. A balanced life isn't a solitary pursuit. It is built within a web of strong, supportive connections. By choosing depth over breadth, presence over distraction, and intentionality over convenience, we build a community that doesn't just share our time, but truly holds our lives. This network becomes the source of our greatest joy, our resilience in hard times, and the very human connection that makes all the other balancing acts not just worthwhile but deeply meaningful. And while a strong community provides emotional stability, another form of security plays an equally vital role in creating a balanced life after 30, the security that comes from financial peace of mind. It's hard to feel centered and present when you're constantly worried about making ends meet, haunted by debt, or anxious about an unforeseen expense. Financial stress is a relentless background noise that can drown out even the most carefully cultivated moments of joy. But financial mindfulness isn't about deprivation or chasing some elusive notion of being rich. It's about shifting your relationship with money from one of anxiety to one of empowerment, where your finances become a tool that supports your desired life rather than an obstacle that prevents it. This journey begins with a fundamental shift in what we value, prioritizing experiences over possessions. In our 20s, a lot of our spending is geared towards acquiring things. The newest gadget, a trendier car, a wardrobe that makes a statement. These purchases offer a quick hit of dopamine, but the thrill is often fleeting. After 30, we start to recognize that the things that truly enrich our lives aren't things at all. They are the memories we create. The satisfaction of a new television fades in a few months, but the memory of a hiking trip through the national parks or a cooking class you took with your partner continues to bring joy for years. Financial mindfulness means consciously directing your resources toward these experience-based investments. It's budgeting for the concert tickets, the weekend getaway, or the pottery workshop because you know these are the investments that yield the highest returns in happiness and personal fulfillment. This philosophy is the perfect antidote to a sneaky trap known as lifestyle inflation. This is what happens every time you get a raise or a promotion, and instead of saving or investing that extra income, you immediately upgrade your lifestyle, a more expensive apartment, a luxury car lease, dining out at fancier restaurants. Your expenses rise to meet your new income, and you find yourself on a hamster wheel, working harder than ever but feeling no more secure or free. Resisting lifestyle inflation is one of the most powerful financial decisions you can make. It doesn't mean you can't enjoy your success. It means you delay that gratification slightly. If you get a $5,000 raise, what if you first automated an increase in your retirement contribution or put it toward paying off your student loans? You get to enjoy the psychological win of faster progress toward your goals while maintaining your current, perfectly comfortable standard of living. The goal is to let your savings grow, not just your expenses. To make this effortless, automation is your greatest ally. The principle is simple: you have to pay yourself first. Set up automatic transfers that move money into your savings and investment accounts the same day your paycheck hits your bank account. When the money is never in your checking account to begin with, you never miss it. You're building your future security on autopilot, and whatever is left in your checking account is what you have freedom to spend guilt-free. This system removes the need for constant willpower and complicated monthly calculations. It makes saving a default behavior, not a periodic chore. Concurrently, a critical component of financial mindfulness is actively reducing the debt that weighs you down. High-interest debt, like credit card balances, is an emergency. It operates in direct opposition to your financial health, silently eroding your ability to build wealth. Tackling this requires a strategy. Some people find success with the debt snowball method, where you pay off your smallest debt first to build motivational momentum. Others prefer the debt avalanche method, focusing on the debt with the highest interest rate to save the most money over time. The specific method matters less than the focused intention. Every dollar you put toward reducing high-interest debt is an investment with a guaranteed substantial return, and the feeling of liberation that comes with making that last payment is a powerful form of wealth in itself. Ultimately, the objective of all this is not to amass a giant number in a bank account for its own sake. The true joy of financial freedom is what that security allows you to do and to be. It's the freedom to say no to a toxic job because you have a 6-month emergency fund. It's the freedom to take a sabbatical to care for a newborn or an aging parent without drowning in panic. It's the freedom to pursue a passion project or a lower-stress career that aligns with your values, even if it comes with a lower salary. This is financial mindfulness at its core, using money as a means to buy yourself the most precious commodities of all: options, time, and peace of mind. It's the quiet confidence that comes from knowing you are the author of your financial story, building a life where your resources support your dreams instead of dictating them. Now, if financial mindfulness provides the external stability for a balanced life, daily mindfulness practice builds the internal stability required to truly enjoy it. Think of your mind as a browser with too many tabs open. There's one for work stress, another for your never-ending to-do list, another replaying that awkward conversation from yesterday, and a few more just playing random background anxiety. This mental clutter is incredibly draining. It pulls your attention in a dozen directions at once, leaving you feeling scattered, overwhelmed, and never fully present in the moment you're actually in. The practice of mindfulness is the simple yet profound act of closing all those extra tabs. It's the systematic training of your attention to rest on the here and now, rather than being hijacked by regrets about the past or worries about the future. The scientific case for making this a daily habit is overwhelmingly compelling. Research from institutions like Harvard and Stanford has shown that regular mindfulness meditation can physically change the structure of your brain. It thickens the prefrontal cortex, which is responsible for focus and decision-making, while it shrinks the amygdala, the brain's fear center. This isn't just a subjective feeling of being calmer, it's a biological shift. On a practical level, this translates to lower levels of the stress hormone cortisol, improved sleep quality, enhanced emotional regulation, and a strengthened immune system. It's like taking your brain to the gym. You wouldn't expect to get physically stronger by lifting weights once a month. Similarly, the benefits of mindfulness compound with consistent daily practice. For anyone new to this, the idea of meditation can feel intimidating. You might picture having to sit in perfect silence for an hour, completely emptying your mind of all thought. This is perhaps the biggest misconception. Mindfulness isn't about stopping your thoughts, it's about changing your relationship with them. It's about noticing the thought, acknowledging it without judgment, and gently guiding your attention back to your anchor, which is most often your breath. A fantastic way to begin is with a simple 5-minute breathing exercise. Find a quiet spot, sit comfortably, and set a timer. Close your eyes and bring your full attention to the physical sensation of your breath moving in and out of your body. Notice the cool air entering your nostrils, the rise and fall of your chest or abdomen. Your mind will wander. That's not a failure, that's the entire point of the practice. Each time you notice it has drifted to your grocery list or a work email, simply note it and return to the breath. That act of noticing and returning is like a rep for your focus muscle. For those who find seated meditation too challenging at first, journaling offers a powerful and structured alternative. This isn't about writing a diary of your day. It's a form of external processing called a brain dump. First thing in the morning or right before bed, take 5 minutes to write down everything swirling around in your head, every worry, every task, every random idea. Getting it out on paper gets it out of your head, freeing up immense mental RAM. You can also use prompts to guide a more reflective practice, asking yourself, what am I grateful for today? Actively shifts your brain's focus from what's lacking to what's abundant, or what would make today great, which helps you intentionally set a priority for your day beyond just reacting to events. Another wonderfully accessible gateway to mindfulness is through movement, specifically mindful walking. This practice requires no extra time. You simply convert a walk you were already taking to your car, around the office, walking the dog, into a meditation. The instruction is simple. Pay attention to the physical sensations of walking. Feel the weight of your body shifting from one foot to the other, the rhythm of your stride, the feeling of your feet connecting with the ground. Notice the air on your skin and the sounds around you. When your mind drifts off, gently bring it back to the sensations of walking. This practice grounds you literally and figuratively, pulling you out of the abstract world of your thoughts and into the physical reality of the present moment. The true key to making any of these practices stick is to weave them into existing routines so they become automatic, not another item on your to-do list. The morning is an ideal time because it sets your neurological tone for the entire day. This could look like doing 3 minutes of breath work before you even check your phone, or practicing mindful drinking as you savor your first cup of coffee, fully attending to its aroma and taste. For others, the evening provides a crucial opportunity to decompress and process the day. 5 minutes of journaling to download the day's events or a short body scan meditation to release physical tension can dramatically improve sleep quality. The goal is consistency, not duration. A 60-second practice done every day is infinitely more valuable than a 30-minute session done once a month. It's the daily drip of awareness that, over time, carves out a new canyon of calm and clarity in your mind, allowing you to navigate life's inevitable stresses from a place of centered strength rather than frantic reaction. And all that internal work we cultivate through mindfulness leads us directly to our seventh secret, one that determines whether our carefully built balance survives contact with the real world, the non-negotiable practice of setting boundaries. Think of boundaries not as walls you build to keep people out, but as the guardrails you install on the winding road of your life. They keep you from veering off into the ditch of resentment and burnout. After 30, the demands on your time and energy don't magically disappear. If anything, they intensify. What changes is your ability to discern which demands are worth your precious resources and which are not. A boundary is simply a clear, communicated line that defines what you are willing to accept, and it is the ultimate act of self-respect. It's you deciding that your well-being is not negotiable currency for the convenience of others. This is especially critical in our professional lives, where the pressure to be always on can feel immense. The first step is learning the art of the graceful but firm no. This isn't about being difficult or uncooperative. It's about being a strategic and respected professional who understands their limits. The key is to avoid a simple no, which can feel abrupt, and instead offer a no, but or frame it around your commitment to quality. For instance, if your manager asks you to take on a new project when your plate is already overflowing, you might say, "I understand how important this project is. To give it and my current commitments the focus they deserve, I'd need to reprioritize. Could we look at my current deliverables and decide which one could be extended or reassigned to make this possible?" This approach doesn't refuse the work. It forces a conversation about realistic capacity and prioritization, showcasing your professionalism while protecting your time. Beyond specific tasks, for many, the dream of balance hinges on negotiating a more flexible work arrangement. The post-pandemic world has made remote and hybrid work a reality for countless industries. If this is a possibility for you, come to the conversation prepared not with what you want, but with how it will benefit the company. Build a business case. You could propose a trial period of working from home 2 days a week, outlining how the quiet, focused time will increase your productivity on deep thinking projects and how you'll be more available for early or late calls due to the saved commute time. By focusing on the wins for your employer, you transform a personal request into a strategic proposal that is much harder to refuse. Yet, the challenge of boundaries extends far beyond the office. Our personal lives are often filled with a different kind of demand, the social obligations that drain us, the friend who consistently expects you to drop everything for their latest crisis, the family member who volunteers your time without asking, the endless stream of events you feel you should attend. Protecting your personal energy requires auditing your social calendar with the same rigor you apply to your work tasks. It means giving yourself full permission to decline an invitation simply because you need a quiet night at home. A simple, "Thank you so much for thinking of me. I can't make it this time, but I hope you have a wonderful time," is a complete sentence that requires no further justification. You are not responsible for managing the other person's potential disappointment. You are only responsible for honoring your own need for rest. Perhaps the most pervasive boundary we need to establish in the modern world is with the technology that blurs the lines between work and home. Our devices have become portals through which the demands of the world can invade our personal space at any hour. Creating intentional tech-free zones is no longer a luxury, it's a necessity for mental survival. This could be a simple household rule: no phones at the dinner table. This single practice ensures that the meal is a time for genuine connection with your family or housemates, completely uninterrupted by notifications. Another powerful boundary is establishing a charging station outside the bedroom. By not taking your phone or laptop to bed, you protect your sleep sanctuary from the blue light and psychological pull of work emails and social media. This physical separation helps your brain understand that this room is for rest and intimacy, not for processing information. The beautiful outcome of consistently upholding these boundaries is that you train the people in your life how to treat you. They learn to value your focused work time because they see you are unavailable. They learn to respect your personal time because you consistently honor it yourself. While there might be initial pushback from those accustomed to your constant availability, what you ultimately gain is far more valuable: their respect and, more importantly, your own. You move from a life where you are constantly reacting to the agendas of others to one where you are proactively designing your days around your deepest values. It is in these daily acts of gentle defiance against the culture of overwhelm that you claim ownership of your one precious life. Yet for all the structure that boundaries provide, a life of pure management and maintenance can start to feel, well, a bit sterile. We can become so focused on protecting our time and energy that we forget to actually fill that protected space with things that ignite our curiosity and bring us pure, unproductive joy. This is where our 8th secret comes in, and it's a delightful one: the intentional, joyful pursuit of lifelong learning and hobbies. Think of your mind not just as something to be calmed and managed, but as a magnificent muscle that craves to be stretched and challenged in new ways. After 30, it's easy to fall into the trap of competence. We get really good at our jobs, we master our routines, and we stop being beginners. But there is a unique and vibrant energy that comes from being a novice again, from trying something with no expectation of excellence, purely for the sake of the experience itself. This isn't about adding another achievement to your resume. It's about rediscovering the playfulness and wonder that often gets buried under adult responsibilities. The psychological benefits of this are profound. Engaging in a new hobby or skill is a powerful antidote to the neural ruts we can fall into. When you learn something new, whether it's how to strum a chord on a guitar, how to throw a pot on a wheel, or how to say hello in a new language, you are forging fresh neural pathways in your brain. This process, called neuroplasticity, doesn't just make you smarter, it literally keeps your brain young and adaptable. It boosts cognitive function, enhances memory, and improves problem-solving skills in all areas of your life. Beyond the neurology, it provides a crucial psychological shift. A hobby gives you a domain that is entirely your own, separate from the metrics of performance reviews or household chores. It's a sanctuary where the only goal is enjoyment. This creates a vital sense of autonomy and mastery that counteracts feelings of stagnation or being trapped in life's various roles. It reminds you that you are not just an employee, a parent, or a partner. You are a creator, a learner, an explorer. So what does this look like in practice? The possibilities are wonderfully endless, but they often fall into a few satisfying categories. There are creative outlets like painting, writing, woodworking, or playing a musical instrument. These activities engage a different part of your brain, allowing for expression without the pressure of a specific outcome. Then there are physical pursuits which combine the benefits of movement with skill acquisition. Think rock climbing, salsa dancing, martial arts, or gardening. These not only improve your health but also provide a tangible sense of progress as your strength or technique improves. Community-based learning is another rich avenue. Joining a local choir, a book club, an amateur theater group, or a hiking club combines social connection with a shared passion, addressing our need for belonging and growth simultaneously. And in our digital age, the barrier to entry has never been lower. Platforms offer masterclasses from world-renowned experts in everything from photography to cooking, allowing you to explore new interests from your living room. Consider the story of Daniel, a data analyst who spent his days immersed in spreadsheets and algorithms. He felt intellectually sharp but creatively starved. On a whim, he signed up for a weekend pottery workshop. The first few attempts were clumsy and frustrating. His bowls were lopsided and his vases collapsed. But he persisted, not to become a master potter, but because he loved the tactile feel of the clay and the focused silence of the studio. He found that the complete mental absorption required what psychologists call a state of flow was incredibly meditative. For those few hours each week, he wasn't thinking about quarterly reports or his inbox. He was entirely present with the spinning wheel and the emerging shape in his hands. This hobby didn't just give him a new skill, it gave him a mental reset button, returning him to his Monday morning responsibilities feeling refreshed and creatively recharged. Or take Anya, a teacher in her 40s who felt her world had become very small, revolving solely around her classroom and her home. She decided to tackle a long-held dream of learning Italian. She started using a language app for 15 minutes each morning with her coffee. It was slow going at first, but she stuck with it. A year later, she felt confident enough to book a solo trip to Italy. Wandering through the markets of Florence, able to order her coffee and ask for directions in the native tongue, was a transformative experience. It wasn't just a vacation, it was the culmination of a personal challenge. It rebuilt her confidence in her own ability to grow and adapt, proving to herself that new chapters of discovery are always available, no matter your age. The key to making this work is to release all pressure for perfection. The goal is exploration, not expertise. Give yourself permission to be genuinely, hilariously bad at something. If you try knitting and you hate it, you haven't failed. You've successfully discovered that knitting isn't for you, and you're one step closer to finding what is. The act of trying itself is the victory. Start small, dedicate just 30 minutes a week to this new pursuit. Protect that time in your schedule as fiercely as you would a business meeting, because in many ways it's more important. It's a meeting with the most curious and joyful version of yourself, the one that existed before the world told you what you should be doing. By making a consistent space for play and learning, you inoculate your life against monotony and remind yourself that growth is a lifelong and deeply enjoyable adventure. And after spending time investing in hobbies that bring us joy, we create more moments worth appreciating, which leads us beautifully into our ninth secret, one that has the power to fundamentally rewire our brains for greater happiness: the daily practice of gratitude and positive reflection. It's easy to fall into the habit of scanning our environment for what's wrong, what's missing, or what could be better. Our brains are naturally wired with a negativity bias, a kind of ancient survival mechanism that helped our ancestors spot potential threats like a predator in the bushes. But in the modern world, this same bias often has us fixating on a critical comment from a colleague while overlooking a dozen compliments, or stewing over a single traffic jam while taking a week of smooth commutes for granted. Gratitude practice is the conscious, deliberate effort to override this default setting. It's not about ignoring life's difficulties or pretending everything is perfect. It's about training your attention to also notice and appreciate the good that is already present, however small. This subtle shift in focus is far more than a feel-good exercise. It's a proven strategy for building profound mental resilience and lasting contentment. The scientific evidence supporting this practice is both extensive and compelling. Neurological studies using fMRI scanners show that consistently practicing gratitude actually creates lasting changes in the brain's structure and function. It strengthens neural pathways in the prefrontal cortex, associated with higher-order thinking like decision-making and emotional regulation, while dampening activity in the amygdala, the brain's primal fear center. On a biochemical level, feeling grateful and appreciative triggers the release of dopamine and serotonin, the very same neurotransmitters targeted by antidepressant medications. This is why gratitude is often called a natural antidepressant. It doesn't just make you feel good in the moment, it builds a more positive baseline outlook over time. People who maintain a regular gratitude practice report lower levels of stress and anxiety, improved sleep quality, stronger immune systems, and a greater overall sense of connection to others. It is quite literally a workout for your brain that builds psychological muscle. So how do we move this from a nice idea into a daily habit that sticks? One of the most powerful and researched methods is keeping a gratitude journal. This doesn't need to be a lengthy, time-consuming process. The key is consistency over elaboration. Each evening, simply take 2 or 3 minutes to write down 3 specific things you are grateful for that day. The magic is in the specificity. Instead of writing, "I'm grateful for my family," you might write, "I'm grateful for the way my daughter laughed uncontrollably at dinner tonight," or "I'm grateful for the supportive text message my partner sent me this afternoon." This granularity forces you to actively recall and relive the positive moment, deepening its emotional impact. Over weeks and months, this journal becomes a documented record of all the good in your life, a powerful antidote to those days when you feel like nothing is going right. Another transformative practice is the ritual of reflecting on daily wins. Our culture often teaches us to rush past our accomplishments in a relentless pursuit of the next big goal. Taking just 60 seconds at the end of your workday or before bed to acknowledge what you did well, no matter how small, is a radical act of self-validation. This isn't about boasting, it's about giving yourself credit. Your win could be anything from finally tackling that daunting administrative task you've been avoiding, to handling a difficult conversation with more patience than you thought you had, to simply getting outside for a walk when you felt like collapsing on the couch. Acknowledging these micro-wins reinforces a sense of capability and progress, counteracting the imposter syndrome and feeling of stagnation that can creep in during midlife. Perhaps the most advanced application of gratitude, however, is learning to use it as a tool to shift your perspective during genuine challenges. This is not about slapping a fake smile on a painful situation. It's about asking a different question, not "why is this happening to me?" but "what can this situation teach me?" or "is there a hidden strength I'm being forced to develop?" Consider the story of Elena, who was passed over for a promotion she deeply wanted. Initially, she was consumed by anger and self-doubt. after a few days, she pushed herself to write down one thing she could be grateful for in the experience. She wrote that she was grateful for the clarity it provided. It showed her that her current company didn't value her skills, which gave her the push she needed to finally update her resume and start looking for a new role. That single grateful thought reframed a failure into a catalyst for positive change. A few months later, she landed a better position at a more supportive company, and she could genuinely look back on that disappointment with appreciation. The ultimate power of this practice is its cumulative effect. You aren't just listing positive things, you are honing a skill called positive anticipation. You begin to go through your day subconsciously looking for moments you can later write down, which means you become more attuned to the beauty of a sunset, the kindness of a stranger, or the comfort of a warm cup of tea. You start to collect these small joys like treasures, and over time, your overall outlook on life becomes brighter and more resilient. You develop what psychologists call an attitude of gratitude, where appreciation isn't just something you do for a few minutes each night, but a lens through which you see your entire world. It is the final, crucial piece of internal work that allows you to fully inhabit and enjoy the balanced life you are so intentionally building. And so we arrive at the end of our journey together, having explored 10 powerful secrets to building a life of true balance and fulfillment after 30. Let's take a moment to weave them all together. It began with the most fundamental shift of all, redefining success on your own terms, moving away from external validation to find a purpose that resonates with your soul. From there, we established the non-negotiable foundation of your physical and mental health, because you cannot pour from an empty cup. To protect that precious energy, we introduced the practical machinery of time blocking, a system for moving from reactive chaos to proactive control. We then recognized that a balanced life is not lived in isolation, focusing on the intentional cultivation of deep, meaningful relationships that serve as our emotional anchors. With our community in place, we turn to building external stability through financial mindfulness, transforming money from a source of stress into a tool for freedom and choice. This external work was matched by the internal practice of daily mindfulness, training our brains to find calm and clarity amidst the noise. To safeguard all this progress, we embrace the courageous art of setting boundaries, learning to say no with grace to protect our time and well-being. And then, we made sure to fill that protected space with joy through the playful pursuit of lifelong learning and hobbies, reminding ourselves that growth is a delightful, lifelong adventure. Finally, we capped it all off with the transformative power of gratitude and positive reflection, a daily practice that rewires our brains to appreciate the profound beauty already present in our lives. But here is the most important thing to remember. This is not a finish line to cross. Balance is not a fixed state you achieve one day and then maintain forever. It is a continuous, dynamic practice, a gentle, constant recalibration, like a sailor constantly adjusting the sails to the changing wind. Some days you'll feel perfectly centered, other days it will feel like everything is tilting. And that is perfectly okay. This is a journey, not a destination. The goal isn't perfection, it's awareness and intention. It's about having the tools and the wisdom to notice when you're starting to feel off kilter and knowing how to gently guide yourself back to your center. You don't need to tackle all 10 of these secrets at once. In fact, I encourage you not to. That would be overwhelming and would miss the point entirely. Instead, as you finish this video, I want you to listen to your intuition. Which one of these principles resonated with you the most? Which one made you lean in and think, yes, I need more of that in my life? Maybe it's the idea of finally setting those boundaries you know you need. Maybe it's the call to pick up that guitar that's been gathering dust in the corner. Whatever it is, start there. Choose just one secret to focus on for the next few weeks. Integrate it slowly and with kindness toward yourself. Master that one, and you'll naturally find it easier to incorporate the next. This is your journey, and your path will be uniquely yours, I would absolutely love to hear about it. In the comments below, tell me which secret you're choosing to start with. What's one small step you'll take this week? And if you have your own hard-won tips for finding balance, please share them. Your story could be the very thing that inspires someone else to make a positive change. We are all in this together, learning and growing from each other's experiences. Stepping into your 30s, 40s, and beyond is not about decline, it's about ascent. It's about trading the frantic energy of your 20s for a deeper, more resonant kind of power. It's the confidence that comes from knowing yourself, the joy that comes from designing a life that truly fits, and the peace that comes from understanding that you have everything within you to navigate its beautiful complexities. You have the map, you have the tools, and you have the wisdom. Now, go forth and build a life that isn't just balanced on paper, but one that feels rich, purposeful, and profoundly joyful.